so let me ask you a question. This is a crazy thing that happened in New York. So they had a trailer on the side of a street with police and film crew and a mother of a small girl who was an actress and an actor who was a big guy, and this is the scene. This actually happened on the news. So it's on a busy street where a lot of shopping going on, a lot of shoppers walking by with bags, and this little girl and a big guy, and the guy comes up and grabs the girl by the arm, and she starts screaming, "No, no, you're not my dad, you're not my dad, help, help." And for 3 or 4 hours, people walked by, right within arm's reach of that, and did nothing. And the camera crew would film it, as they go by, and you could see people turning around and looking, but nobody did anything. And then finally, these 2 kids are walking by with bags. They're African-American kids. They're walking along, and they see the same scenario that everybody else saw, and they get a little past them, and they turn, they look at each other, they drop their bags, and they run after this guy, right? And all of a sudden, when they did that, somebody stops on the street, somebody picks up a cell phone, all these people came to action, all like, yes! Finally somebody took action. And I have to ask you, if you were walking by that little girl in that same street and you saw a big guy grab her arm and she's screaming, "No, help, it's not my daddy," is there anybody here who wouldn't at least stop and inquire, or are you the kind of person that would walk by?
Stop.
Who thinks they might just walk by? Because they actually stopped people later. As they walked down the street, I guess there was another camera person. They said, "Why didn't you stop and help these people?" "Oh, I didn't," they all had an excuse, but nobody did anything. Is there anybody here who would be that kind of person? Nobody would have done anything? You saw this show. So let me ask you another question. And I asked this to a whole bunch of martial arts people in a room, like 1,000 people in a talk I gave. And I said, was there any martial artists in here who wouldn't have stopped? And they all felt confident they would have stopped. Like they would never. Everybody was appalled, We can't believe that happened. And that's what you think when you watch the news. So let me ask you now, if they're across the street, so now there's 2 lanes of traffic, you're across the street, and you see the same thing going on. Are you not going to take action because it's across the street? You're going to go, if I were over there, definitely I'd do something, but I'm over here, it's just too far. That's not going to be something you do. You'd still cross the street to help somebody, yes?
Yes, sir.
So now what if you were across the street and a block away, and you saw and understood what was happening? Would you still go?
Sprint.
Yeah. Because you know that you have a responsibility to help that person just like you'd want to be helped, yes?
Yes, sir.
So where is the boundary, I asked these martial artists, to where you stop caring anymore? If you know right now that people are starving in Japan and dying, and is it because they're not on your street or that you're not walking by them? Or can you feel compassion for someone even when they're somewhere else far away? Can you recognize that that could be you? And so that was the question to instructors, because of course everybody's real indignant about it. Well, of course I would step in. If I saw that, I'm not stupid, I wouldn't walk by it. No, if I were across the street, of course I'd go there. I've trained self-defense all my life. I'd stand by, I know exactly what to do. But because it's across town, or because it's in another state or another country, sorry, it's too far away. If you were here, I'd help you right now. But you're so far away, I don't feel any connection to you. Well, the most evolved people, evolved, meaning high functioning, like not the amoeba, that come up the food chain a little bit. They feel and understand and have what's called empathy for other people. I don't have to know that you're suffering or see it firsthand to be able to offer my help. And that's why between the last class and the next class next week, I asked you if you couldn't find it in yourselves to do something for Japan, even if it's $1. Because it's a practice of empathy and compassion for other people. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And it's a very advanced thing. Most kids won't care and won't do anything. Not because they're thoughtless or careless. You have to cultivate it like you cultivate some plants to grow. Don't grow without a little help and water and the right sunshine. Sometimes we have to cultivate that in ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And I guarantee you, if it was us suffering right now, if the tsunami had hit us, and we were without food, and one of our parents or brothers or sisters or aunts or uncles died, that we would pray that other people would understand what we were going through and pitch in. Because some people live in massive abundance. You have lots of food, you have enough money to get by, everything's paid for. It takes a little bit from a lot of people to make a difference. Don't make one person reach in, but even you and I can make a contribution, and that's what I ask you for. It's the easiest thing to do. Would you make sure, there's got to be a group here in town that's doing Japanese relief. You can go to the Red Cross, you can email me, raise at least $1. And don't be one of those people who do nothing because you feel no connection to what's happening.